music, film, and web. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. Additional support comes from the Association of Jewish Libraries. On January 11th, I attended the Midwinter Council meeting of the Association of Jewish Libraries, where the winners of the 2010 Sidney Taylor Book Award for Jewish Children's Literature were officially announced. They let me record the big reveal, which you'll hear first. Then I snuck Kathe Pinchuck, the awards chair, out of the meeting for a little while to talk about the books in detail. We were huddled in the hallway, so please excuse the background noises of doors opening, elevator bells dinging, and so on. The full list of all award, honor, and notable Sidney Taylor books has been posted at bookoflifepodcast.com. I'll also post the schedule of the Sidney Taylor Book Award blog tour as soon as it becomes available. The blog tour will take place February 1st through 5th, and the home base for that event will be jewishlibraries.org/blog. Also, I just wanted to let you know that this podcast is being cross-posted on the Association of Jewish Libraries podcast at jewishlibraries.org/podcast. Mazel tov to all the authors, illustrators, editors, and publishers of these wonderful books. Now, let's get to the big reveal.
And now, the 2010 Sidney Taylor Book Award for Young Readers goes to New Year at the Pier by April Halpern Wayland, illustrated by Stefan Jarisch. Sidney Taylor Book Award for older readers goes to The Importance of Wings by Robin Friedman. And the Sidney Taylor Book Award for teen readers goes to Tropical Secrets: Holocaust Refugees in Cuba by Margarita Engel.
Excellent choices, excellent. We're very excited to hear that.
Kathe, when you called the winners of the Sidney Taylor Book Award to tell them that they'd won, that must have been really fun. Tell us about that.
That was really fun. That's really the most fun part of being on the committee and the most fun part of being the chair. I started the list with the winner for younger readers, April Halpern Wayland, who wrote New Year at the Pier, which is a story about Tashlach, and the illustrator, Stefan Jarisch, lives in Montreal, and he's not Jewish. So I started the conversation, and I said, how did the illustrator know how to draw Tashlach when, you live in California on the beach, and he lives in Montreal, and he's not Jewish?
Right. Oh, and just to clarify, the story basically takes place at an actual site, right? I mean, this is based on her own experiences in Manhattan Beach at the pier,
yes.
And so it needed to look like that, right?
Yes. And her synagogue has different rituals that they do in their ceremony. They're not necessarily universal. Someone comes and plays the guitar. Someone comes and blows the shofar there. They have a whole bunch of people that march down to the pier. So it's really quite a spectacle. And April told me that she took pictures at the event several years, and she sent copies of the picture to the publisher, and then the publisher forwarded them to the illustrator. And they really don't want the illustrator and the author to discuss, meet, do anything together. It clouds the illustrator's vision of what they envision the book should look like. So I was talking to April, and I said, how did he know how to draw, and we're going on, and I said, oh, and what about this cover? Were you happy with the cover? A lot of authors don't like the art, or they don't like the positioning. She goes, no, I was very happy with the cover. And I said, oh, I like the cover too, but I don't know where to put a gold sticker. And she just went, what? And I said, I don't know where to put the Sidney Taylor Book Award sticker on the book. What do you think? And she's like, you're not kidding me, are you? And I said, no, I'm not kidding you. You really won the award. And she was just ecstatic. She was flying, glowing. She was just really thrilled. And she also knows what's out there as an author. We received a book, You Never Heard of Sandy Koufax, which had a really cool lenticular cover that made it look like he was pitching.
Right, it's like a hologram.
Right.
Yeah.
And that book was was just a really beautiful book. Got a lot of good reviews and has obvious Jewish content, which also made the book outstanding to the committee. But
so you mean April thought that was going to be the winner?
April thought that was going to be the winner. We got another book, Yankee at the Seder, which was beautiful, which is about takes place during the Civil War when a soldier of the Union Army is still in Virginia, and he's invited to a Seder of a Confederate family, and the little boy is a little not happy that, so the enemy is coming, but it's really a beautiful story about how Jews welcome Jews. And she thought that one would have won, and it was a really heated debate on the committee, and back and forth, and several votes and opinions and discussions about what was truly worthy, and most people felt that book exemplified the Sidney Taylor Book Award.
Mm-hmm. So just want to mention that these other books that you're talking about, Yankee at the Seder and You Never Heard of Sandy Koufax, got silver medals this year. And then what were the other silver medalists?
The other silver medalists were a book, Nachshon, Who Was Afraid to Swim, which is based on the Midrash when the Israelites left Egypt and they crossed the Red Sea. Everyone just stood there and didn't know what to do. And this Nachshon said, I'm going to be the one to jump in. And once he jumped in and showed that it was okay and that people should have faith, then the waters parted. So Deborah Bowden-Cohen, who's a rabbi in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, wrote that story. Beautiful illustrations by someone named Jago, who lives in the United Kingdom. The other honor book was Benjamin and the Silver Goblet by Jacqueline Jules, illustrated by Natasha Ugliano, who's an Italian illustrator. That's part of a series that is just gorgeous, that has been really well received. It started with Abraham's Search for God, and last year Sarah Laughs was honored by the committee, and this year the Benjamin book was really nice. Besides the beautiful writing that's really age appropriate and the gorgeous pictures that complement the text, it's a nice story that there's so many books about Noah's Ark, there's so many books about the 10 plagues, really very few books about Benjamin and the Silver Goblet, and it's an age-appropriate story. It's a little boy. He's going to Egypt for the first time. He's excited, but he's a little scared. Just a really nice story that the committee really liked.
Okay, so that's all of our medalists in the younger readers category, right? Talk about calling Robin Friedman in the older readers category the winner.
So again, it was very interesting. I called Robin and I live in the beautiful Garden State of New Jersey, so I kind of know her through her writing for a local Jewish newspaper. And I called her up and I said, "You won?" And she goes, "You're kidding, right? This is a joke." And I said, "No, it's not a joke. You won." And again, she couldn't believe it. There were also some pretty heavy hitters in that category, and she was very surprised. I called her publisher, Charles Bird Publishing. They were very surprised also. She was very happy.
And did she have predictions of what else she thought would have won?
She didn't have predictions. She just didn't think her book would win. Her book is The Importance of Wings, and it's not a typical Jewish book, which is nice. We often get stereotypical books about the Holocaust or about a Bubby and a Zadie on the Lower East Side, and this book is about an Israeli girl who lives on Long Island. It's partly autobiographical. And this Israeli girl wants to blend into American society. It takes place, the girl's about 13, 14, in the 8th grade. So she's at that awkward stage where she's trying to figure out who she is, and she decides she wants to be American. And an Israeli family moves in next door to her, and Liat takes Roxanne and convinces her, you have to be who you are, and you don't have to conform. And one of the big things is the hairstyle during that time was this layered, feathered back hair, the wings in the hair. And she couldn't style her hair that way, and Liat convinced her, so, who cares? It doesn't matter.
So I remember that from reading the book, that the importance of wings has several layers of meaning.
Several layers of meaning.
The hairstyle, right.
And at the end of the book, Roxanne decides that she wants to go by her Hebrew name of Ravit. Mm-hmm. So the committee really enjoyed that book. It's just a different immigrant story than the typical Lower East Side. It's a different coming-of-age story in terms of what your challenges are. And it was really well done.
Okay, and then what about the teen readers category?
Teen readers category. The winner is Tropical Secrets, Holocaust Refugees in Cuba by Margarita Engel. She's quite famous for her Newbery Honor Surrender Tree. It's also won the Pura del Prey Award. Most of her writing is about pre-Castro Cuba. Her parents came from Cuba, and she did a lot of research into the history and what happened prior to World War II. After Kristallnacht, a lot of Jews were trying to get out of Germany, and many Latin American countries opened their doors. But once they opened their doors, it came with strings attached in terms of paying or how many people they would take. And this story it's a free verse. They're basically three voices. There is Daniel. His parents put him on a boat from Germany, and he's alone, and he thinks he's going to the United States, but the boat ends up in Cuba, and he gets off there. He misses Germany. He misses his friends. He picks up the language quickly, but he still feels this pervasive loneliness. He meets Paloma. She's Cuban. Her father, Gordo, is a bureaucrat there, and he is taking advantage of the situation, and she doesn't quite see eye to eye with him, and she helps a lot of the refugees. There's also someone, David, who's Russian. He went to Cuba during the Russian pogroms, and he also helps Daniel to acclimate himself. And the end of the book is very beautiful. Like, more refugees come to Cuba, and at this point in the story, Daniel can extend himself and help them to feel at home in their new country.
It's interesting how certain themes will crop up in multiple books in the same year, and it seems to happen a lot. This year there was also another book that was about refugees going to Cuba. It was called The Other Side of Life. Can you talk a little bit about that and how the committee recognized that book?
That book was a notable book for teen readers. Right. The Other Side of Life is based on the story of the St. Louis, also known as Voyage to the Dam, where German Jews got an ocean liner, crossed the ocean, sought refuge in the Americas, and were turned away from many ports. And it ended up that the boat went back to Europe. Several countries in Europe accepted groups of Jews, and unfortunately not many of these people survived the Holocaust. And this boat was made an example by, the Germans, that no one wants to take in the Jews. So, that was the situation. Again, on this boat was a boy whose mother put him on the boat. His mother was Christian, his father was Jewish, and they felt the best thing was for the father to disappear and for the boy to get on the boat. And he meets a family that kind of adopts him. He falls in love with the elder daughter of the family. It really describes his ambivalent feelings. Like on the boat, there's kind of a festive mood, but it's quite somber that they are escaping their home. They're never going to go back to their homes. And once they get toward the coastline and find out they're not being accepted into other countries, it gets a little upsetting too. I'm not going to reveal the end of the book. I'm going to have to read that one. But also on themes that's interesting, this year the theme really was Write What You Know. The Tashlich ceremony is the ceremony in April Wayland Synagogue does at the beach. The Importance of Wings is based on Robin Friedman's life, and Tropical Secrets is obviously based on Margarita's Cuban heritage.
Was there a story about when you called Margarita?
No, not really. It was, it was very exciting for me because she's Margarita Engel, and I thought I would practice my Spanish on her, and I was so excited and nervous about talking to Margarita Engel that I got like 3 sentences, and I'm like, Inglés, por favor.
But she speaks perfect English. I mean, the book was not translated, right? She wrote it in English.
She wrote in English. Yeah. She speaks perfect English.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just her background. Yeah. Tell about the honor books in the older and teen readers categories, and also we had a special notable for all ages. So tell us about those.
Special notable is JPS Illustrated Children's Bible. Stories are retold by Ellen Frankel, who is just a master storyteller, and illustrations are by Avi Katz, who does beautiful work also. It's just a treasure, and we didn't know where to put it because we figured the older readers category, where I guess the people who could read the book would find it, age 9 to 12, wouldn't necessarily pick up an illustrated Bible to read. But the stories are wonderful. As an adult, I was reading through it and reviewing it, and I said, I don't think it says that in the Torah. And I would pull out a Chumash, and I was like, wow, she just got it right, just the right. It's exactly that way in the Chumash, and she just phrased it perfectly for children. So that book's notable for all ages. We hope everyone reads this book and enjoys it because it truly is a treasure.
And then the silvers in the older and teen readers category?
The silvers in the teen readers, I'll start with, are two books based on history. One is called Lost by Jacqueline Davies. It's a historical fiction around the Triangle Shirtwaist Company. A society woman, she's not very happy in her situation, and she ends up escaping by running away from home and getting a job in a factory to support herself. And she meets with a Jewish girl who befriends her and takes her in. So that was a really good one, very compelling story. The other one was biblical fiction, which was a big surprise. It's called Naomi's Song. It was written a long time ago. It was published by JPS, and the manuscript was submitted by the daughter of the author, Mrs. Silverberg. And that book is about Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law. You know, we got this book with this cover that didn't catch you, and you didn't want to read it because you saw the cover. But once you got the book, it really held your attention.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I didn't read it until you guys were telling me that it was a contender, because I also thought that the cover looked like it was going to be dry and dusty. Biblical fiction often is sort of stilted, but this was not at all stilted, and it was especially surprising to realize it had been written how long ago? Decades ago, and this woman had not even, I think she hadn't attempted to have it professionally published, is that right?
I think she wrote it for her children originally and just left it as a gift to them, and then they felt that, you know, it was worthy of publication. It definitely was.
Yeah, it was very well written.
The honor books in the older reader categories were two works in translation. One was called Anne Frank, Her Life in Words and Pictures, which were taken from the archives of the Anne Frank House. Just the pictures are just, they really put the story in context, because you see the actual diary that she wrote in, you see the actual annex where they were hiding. We see a lot of pictures of the family. There's a lot of comments from people who knew the family and who saw the family. I would say it's really not for younger readers in this category. It's really for the upper end, 12 and up, because the end of the book, they really described what, you know, the demise of all the people that lived in the house. But really good book. Really good for people who've read the diary to get more context of the story. The other one also deals with the Holocaust. It's called The Faraway Island by Annika Thor. And Annika is Swedish, and the story is based on children who were taken from Vienna and moved to a remote island in Sweden. They have to deal with the challenges there of learning a new language, of being away from home, hoping to reunite with their parents. Also coming-of-age story. The older sister in this book is Steffi. She's like 12 or 13, and she has a hard time. The girls are teasing her about her clothes, and the foster mother she's with is not really a warm, loving person. She's very strict. Steffi really comes of age and grows up and gets used to her surroundings.
Some of these authors and illustrators that you've just been talking about are going to be participating in a Sidney Taylor Book Award blog tour. So can you just talk real briefly about that? When's that going to be taking place?
So we decided to wait till after the ALA Awards are announced. It's going to be taking place February 1st through 5th. We are going to be putting the schedule up at the AJL blog at jewishlibraries.org/blog. And it's very exciting for the authors and the bloggers. Bloggers will ask questions to the authors, and all the interviews will be posted on the specific blogs. And I just encourage everyone to go out and find these books, because it was a very special year. We got a lot of good stuff.
All right, Kathe Pinchuck, thank you so much.
Thank you.
There are so many ways to connect with the Book of Life. Fan us at facebook.com/bookoflifepodcast. Follow us at twitter.com/bookoflifepod. Email us at bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 561-206-2473. You can also listen to the latest episode by phone at 916-313-3820. And, of course, find links to everything at bookoflifepodcast.com. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida, at cbiboca.org, and is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band at freilachmakers.com. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.